Hello, everyone. It's been a while. You know, life's happened. I've had trouble keeping up with stuff. Some things I was gonna do for content kind of went out the window. But eventually I'll start getting to NFL football. Obviously, in Saints news, Jameis was named the starting quarterback pretty recently. I think the only team that has yet to announce is Washington, which that is a fascinating quarterback room they have. I'm trying to remember. They have Ryan Fitzpatrick, the ultimate journeyman, Taylor Heineke, the hero who stepped up in injury last season, and there's a third guy I'm forgetting. But that isn't what this video is about. This video is actually about a high school game I watched because there were a lot of high-level football players there. Now, it was between the Zachary High School Broncos and Lafayette Christian Academy Knights. Now, Lafayette Christian Academy was missing some of their big hitting talents. Now, let's see. Of the ones who did play, some of the notables that still played were like the big name right now is Massey Lewis, who has a few offers for. He has an offer from Kansas. He has an offer from Louisiana. Pretty sure he's got one from Monroe too. Basically, most of the in-state schools, and then also Kansas offered him because I think that was while Miles was still there, but they kept the offer because he's that dude. Also the quarterback Johnson is going to be a pretty big. I think he's going to be a pretty big receiver recruit. Well, I say pretty big. He'll probably attract some D1 offers, is what I mean. The guys who were missing were for LCA were defensive back Brylan Green. He's committed to Liberty, but he also had offers from Washington State, among a few others. But I just remember Washington State made it into his top three. Let's see. There was Jordan Allen, who's committed to Penn State. Excellent defensive back. Heard he was going to play more safety this year. He's made his name as a corner, but projects more as a safety at the next level. Who else is missing? Fitz West, who's committed to LSU. He was known as kind of a nose tackle type, but he'll be playing more guard and center at the next level. Also missing were a couple of key guys on the offensive line, including an all-Metro center and left guard who was slated to start this year, starting last year. And I don't know if he's got any offers, but he's about somewhere. I think he's somewhere a little north of 250. And can move a little. So at the high school level, that's invaluable. But anyway, onto the game itself. It was just a jamboree. It was kind of sloppy. On Zachary's side, Holstein. One of their big recruits is Eli Holstein, who right now is committed to Texas A&M. He's a quarterback. But yeah, he bobbled a couple snaps. What are some examples of sloppy play from LCA? Well, there was a pretty decent amount of penalties on both sides, But, the line play either way, the defensive lines were kind of controlling most of the game. And let's see, going into halftime, the score was 5-0 Zachary. So what had happened was on a punt near the end zone, LCA elected to take a safety and then kick off from there. And then on another drive, Zachary had gotten a field goal. The second half is where it got interesting, because as the game wore on, LCA was getting more and more pressure in the backfield on Zachary. And eventually, that led to one of LCA's defensive players The broadcast, side note, the broadcast was choppy as hell. Excuse my language, but the broadcast was very choppy, and I couldn't see who made the interception. I think it was either Braden Ziegler or Devin Walton. Someone who undercut like a little out route from one of Zachary's receivers. Holstein had pressure on his face. He was throwing off his back foot, and one of LCA's players undercut the pass and took it back to the end zone. And it was 6-5 LCA. And then late in the game, remember those bobbled snaps I mentioned? There was a bobbled snap. He picked it up, and one of the corners must have had his eyes in the backfield. The receiver had no one within about 3 yards of him, and with Zachary's receivers, that is more than enough, especially with Holstein throwing the ball. Touchdown. Zachary wins 12-6. Now, given the circumstances, again, well played game. It's unfortunate that Zachary's offensive line isn't better than it is, because you can see every time that running back Wisham touches the ball, that is a stud at running back, straight up. I don't know what kind of offers he has, but you can tell the dude has that ability where every time he touches, he could take it to the house. He's that dude. Also, the Zachary defense I've been hearing about, it lived up to the hype. LCA's offense had, they got some plays here and there, that they had a decent drive or two, but they were never really threatening to score. They the LCA offense got some things on underneath throws, and they had some success on outside runs, but overall Zachary's defense won that. Now on the flip side, as I mentioned, LCA's defense was in Holstein's face all day. Even got to the point where they were even affecting screens. There were one or two times where the defensive linemen were able to tip the screen pass. And and again, this is without probably their best interior defensive lineman. To chew on that for a second. And they run an odd front, by the way. But that whole defense came to play. It's just one guy on one play falls asleep, and that's the difference. Because if it wasn't for that, the difference would have been the pass rush just constantly getting in Holstein's face, and just one time where it went completely wrong. But you know what? If I had a vagina, I'd be a woman. So yeah, just on to the next one. But yeah, overall it was a good game. A lot of talent on both teams. No particular offensive player from LCA really showed out, but but Dudley Jackson had his spots where he did well. He's a new player on LCA's roster. He's going to be playing some running back, some receiver. Who else? It's pretty obvious that the quarterback trusts Riggs the most, Darian Riggs. He's got a couple offers. One from Southern Miss, one from Coastal Carolina. He might get some more offers to roll in. But yeah, overall it was a good game of high school football. And yeah, also Zachary won at all three levels. They won 14-12 in the freshman game. The JV game was mostly LCA's freshman team playing against Zachary's JV, and Zachary's JV ended up with a dominating 18-6. And then obviously the varsity was 12-6 Zachary. So yeah, that was a crazy game where, for the most part, I mean, Zachary was probably a little bit the better team. I mean, their defense I wouldn't say gave LCA's offense more trouble, but Zachary was able to do more to combat what LCA was doing than the other way. But I mean, overall, it's a jamboree. But the guys who are always gonna show out showed out. Well, I say that the receivers didn't really show out, but the DBs, man, DBs had themselves a game both ways, other than one play. So yeah, that's gonna be it. Hope you enjoyed the change of pace and content. May do some football related stuff in the future. Maybe get a whiteboard and a small whiteboard and just draw some stuff up. But that remains to be seen. With the hurricane coming in, that'll probably wait at least a few days, if it even does happen. And yeah, peace.